Hey Walter,
Hi, David.
how are you?
I'm doing good. I like your mustache.
Why, thank you. Oh, that's well, I like to hear. It's definitely a look, but some people seem to like it. So I like your facial hair. I wish I could grow a beard like that. It doesn't look good on me. It doesn't fill in the way
I
that it
understand.
fills in.
I understand. I'm trying to remember what movie star has your mustache. Or maybe the movie star has your mustache.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, Pedro Pascal can pull it off, although he is a
I
much
like
more
him.
attractive person. Let's see. Oh, Burt Reynolds.
That's
We
it.
could Burt
That's
Reynolds.
it.
Yeah, yeah,
But I really like Pedro Pascal. He's really becoming a big deal now.
yeah, yeah. No, he's fantastic. I love everything he's in, and also he just seems like a genuinely like great person. Like it's nice that similar to this movie, it's nice when like the star is also like genuinely it seems like a nice person. It seems like someone that people can root for. So hey everyone, it's David Stark from Watcher Pass. Today I'm so excited to be joined by video game royalty. I'm talking to Billy Mitchell and Walter Day about Walter's new documentary coming of age story, Arcades and Love Songs, The Ballad of Walter Day. I'm going to talk to them right now, and while you're watching, if you can like, subscribe to this channel, that would be fantastic. Also, a lot. Thank you. So thanks so much for joining me today. I've got video game royalty. I have Billy Mitchell and Walter Day talking about the all-new movie Arcades and Love Songs, The Ballad of Walter Day. It's coming to digital and VOD on June 9th, 2025. It is a story about Walter taking on a new challenge, something that I don't think any of us expected. Although Billy knew about it, but he decides to kind of work on something that has been a dream. He is going to fulfill it, and he does it in a very public, very kind of like big way that I did not expect to happen. It is a movie about trying new things, about overcoming heartbreak, about kind of moving on in your life, even at an older age. So I am very excited to talk to you both. Walter, I think I met you probably at a video game convention years ago. Billy, I met you at the Smithsonian when you were there presenting something. I wore my favorite American flag tie for this occasion. I'm excited to talk to you both. So thanks so much for joining me.
Well, thank you for having us. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Of
Appreciate
course.
it.
Of course. So, first question is for Walter. This is, your story, your, main event. How did you get involved in this project? I mean, I know that you wanted to produce, your songs, but then how did the documentary come about? Did they approach you? Did you kind of like have this all as some package idea? How did this movie come about?
Well, if you don't mind, if I talk for about a minute and a half, I can tell you a synopsis of this.
Always.
Essentially, 40 years ago, I had a glamorous girlfriend who one day called me up and said, "Walter, I've been seeing a friend of yours. We're over." Essentially, it was the end of our romance. Well, we were very involved, and I had heartbreak. The heartbreak was real rare. The only time in my life I ever had heartbreak, really, a broken heart, and it was a really intense experience. About a couple weeks into the heartbreak, I started hearing music come up. Music. I started hearing songs, almost perfectly formed songs with lyrics and melodies and harmonies and harmonics and hooks and stuff like that. And I was completely fixated and transfixed by them. And it was almost like angels were singing them to me. And and as I've told many people, I practice transcendental meditation, which is famous for unfolding creativity. It seemed that this impulse of music, along with practicing transcendental meditation, made the songs form just become formed into like very finished products. And I started singing them into a tape recorder, started writing them down. And by the time this phenomenon was over, I had 138 songs.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I was, but what was so amazing was I was completely fixated on the idea that someday I was committed. Someday I'd get on the stage and I produce those songs and I'd actually sing them for the public and let the world know what I'd heard. 20 years after that happened, the King of Kong happened. And I talked actively with the producers and the directors of the King of Kong about how I wanted to no longer be the video game guy, but I wanted to go out and do this music I've been hearing at that time, 20 years at that time. And they were intrigued by that, and they actually put me singing my songs on acoustic guitar in the King of Kong. And after the movie was over, they never forgot my music, and they actually were impressed with it. They thought it was very interesting. 20 years later, after that, I'm at an event with Billy Mitchell, and a couple strangers walk out of the crowd, and they say, "We recognize you from the King of Kong. Whatever happened to that music?" And I told them I still wanted to do it. It still was my dream, even though I was running out of years because I'm getting older. But I never gave up my dream to do the music. And it turns out that they had a lot of wealth from a very successful game called Color Switch. And they said, "Mr. Day, we want to produce your music. We want to put the money up so that you can have your album come to life and become a reality and you can fulfill that lifetime wish." So anyway, next thing I know, I'm in a music studio doing the songs.
That's
Meanwhile, the producers of The King of Kong from 20 years earlier learn that I am finally in the studio doing my music, and they decide, wow, this is a story. The story of a man who never gave up his dream, and at the end of his years, finally fulfills his dream and goes into the studio and produces his music. And that's why the overriding theme of the movie is it's never too late.
No, I love that. And I love that. I love, that you held on to it for so long. I guess I don't love that you held on to it for so long, although it does seem like it was, it provided you creativity and comfort. But I love that you stuck with it. And I think that, like you said, that's the point of this whole movie. Now, where did the live performance come in? Because I could see you going and recording and getting your music out there, and that would be a feat of itself. But like to, have this like live performance just feels like it's at another level, like something that is even more difficult, some more stuff for you to overcome. So where did
It was
the
it was amazing. It was February 17th, 2023, and it was in Fairfield, Iowa, which is it's a famous town because that's where out of the 10,000 people there, about 4,000 of them practice transcendental meditation. So it's famous as a place for creativity and for unfolding pure consciousness and stuff like that. So essentially, we decided that we should have an actual performance so that we could bring full circle this whole incredible odyssey I'd been on. So we scheduled it, and I had to sing each one of those three songs they sang 8 times in a row every day for months and months to get ready because I was to get my voice because I never had a singing voice. So I had to completely invent out of the clear blue a brand new singing voice that would be passable to sing in public. And I was so worried that I was going to fail, but even more so, I was so afraid that I wouldn't remember the lyrics because
I
get
think
up
we would
here,
all be afraid of that.
speech right out. But I was very clear and I didn't forget the lyrics, and it came out very successfully.
That's awesome. Now, Billy, you are involved in this movie, just kind of like you're supporting Walter, you're kind of helping him, to achieve this goal. Were you involved in like the planning of this film, or did they, film you as you were helping Walter like in his journey? How did you kind of get onto this project?
Well, when they first contacted me about the film, I was concerned that the film was using the producer was using Walter as an excuse to film other things.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so I questioned his sincerity and I held his feet to the fire. And my suspicion was wrong. And I was wrong to suspect that. But that was my first concern because I didn't think after all these years, suddenly they were coming back sincerely, trying to explore Walter's music. But as I saw the situation unfold, I obviously um, became much more convinced. But I was always there. I felt like a guardian, keeping my foot on the pedal that it has to be about Walter and not about something else in the gaming world or something about me. And it is. The reason why I'm in the film is simply because I had been me along with others had been supporting Walter so much, so long, so sincerely, and we truly, truly wanted to see it happen. Um, it was it was funny, he mentions things that made intimidated him or made him scared, and I was actually laughing about it. Um, some of this he's hearing for the first time. What I mean is, he's concerned about getting up on stage in front of all these people, and I'm listening to him say that back then, and I'm saying, "What are you talking about? We get on stage in front of people all the time. What's wrong with you?" And he says, "Gee, I wonder if I'll remember the lyrics." Okay, you just heard the monologue he gave. Usually I'm a wise guy and I say, "Can you repeat that, please?" Because he went 3 minutes talking and he didn't miss a word. So the idea that he was going to forget his lines was ridiculous. Um, Plus, again, he drove 3 hours north, 3 hours south, to practice at the studio. He had all that time in between. And I had told him it's true for me. And I think he embraced it. When you're driving, you're thinking about where you're going, what you're going to do. You find yourself in the car talking to yourself, singing to yourself. I mean, you have the work done, you have it memorized long before you got there. And then when you're riding home, you find yourself talking to yourself, singing to yourself about what you did and what you want to do correct the next time. So he simply put far, far too much work in it not to persevere and not to conquer it. I mean, I was absolutely 100% confident at that point that he would. But all the years that led up to it, because this began in 1986, I mean, I remember it vividly. And I remember thinking nothing of it just because it was something somebody said, which was him. But as the years went on and he would continue to talk about it, it went from being a yeah, 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 I know you mentioned that, yeah, to when, as I say, he finally, you know, retired from being the father of esports, and he said he was going to address it. After all he did, after everything he persevered, for him to take that on, I knew it was simply a matter of time before he would actually be successful. Um, there was the money factor, and money's a hell of a thing to be missing when you're trying to achieve something. But when those friends came along and reignited the interest, at that point, I knew that was the final hurdle that would bring him to the success he's had.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I love, how supportive you and the other, video game personalities, people that were involved in like the game scene were in this movie. Like when I saw you, I was like, oh, that's great. It's Billy Mitchell. But then everyone was just kind of supporting Walter, which was beautiful to see. Like you all had such love for him, such kind of like reverence for what he's done, like, what a good friend he is. And everyone was just there to make sure that this was Walter's moment, Walter's, performance, his release, and that was just a beautiful thing to see, especially if you've been following the video game community for years, just seeing everyone kind of get behind, royalty in that area and have him try something new.
Very good.
So you mentioned that you were a little hesitant at the start. Was like Steve also a little hesitant, or once you got on board, everyone else kind of realized that this was a real project, that was a real genuine interest, and they all just kind of like gave what they could to make sure that this became a reality.
Yes, I had a tremendous amount of questions that came my way to ask if it was real, um, if the efforts were sincere, if they were going to follow through. Because we hear from people all the time, all the time. Somebody has a camera and they have an idea and they want to tell your story. And it's refreshing when not only is somebody sincere that they want to do it, but they have the ability to do it. There's people that are sincere, they want to do it, they simply don't have the ability. There's people that have the ability that don't have any sincerity. So luckily, those worlds came together here.
Yeah, exactly. And it shines through in the film. Now, Walter, I'm just curious. The film ends at a specific moment. We get a little bit of an update after. Has there been anything, further in, either your singing career or your love life since the movie ended? Any tidbits you'd like to share? Future live performances, future dates, anything along those lines?
Well,
Make you move.
Shane and I are dear friends, but we haven't run off to Las Vegas to get married or anything. But
Yet.
Shane and
There's
I,
always time. That's the moral of the movie. There's always time.
yeah, and there are dates. I mean, right now things are being scheduled in Iowa City. They're being scheduled in Fairfield. There's going to be a big showing at the local theater here. So the it's kind of funny. The whole community was involved in making that film. I mean, all those people were from Fairfield throughout the film, except a few visitors like Billy from out of town. And so it's like a gift to Fairfield. So Fairfield's going to watch it together on June 29th. We're going to have it in Iowa City. It's going to probably be in the Bay Area, in Berkeley or Alameda or something like that. It's going to be in Fort Lauderdale, Indianapolis, Long Island, Minnesota, Minneapolis, and maybe a couple dozen more that we don't know about right now, maybe even more than that. Essentially, it is going to have a theatrical run in the theaters, and then, of course, June 9th, it's going to be VOIP.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I love it. It's getting out there. You're promoting it, letting people see it. And also, being at these screens must be, both wonderful for you, but also maybe it's a little bit nerve-wracking to see other people react to your story like in real time. So
That for me is a cliffhanger because I go into the theater doubting are people going to like the story because it's so because I because for me it makes such a huge emotional impression that I can't relate to the idea that other people are going to actually like my story, but they do like the story, and it's amazing how many women in the audience cry because they're touched by the finer feeling aspects of the film because it's a very sensitive.
Some of the men in the audience cried too.
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, I was cry I was there were tears of joy was when you up there and like you started to open up, like you recognized Billy as he sang more, he became more comfortable and it became
yeah,
like a real
yeah,
live performance.
yeah. It's completely it's completely it's completely not an action movie. Not one single time does an alien burst from my chest or does Godzilla make an appearance. It's completely all finer feeling, heartfelt stuff.
Well, you have to say something for the sequel. I mean,
If
the
I can
sequel
throw
will have.
Walter, if I can throw Walter under the bus, the one thing he does fear is when he first gets up there and they have the Q&A after the movie. What are people going to say? What are they going to ask? Um, are they going to say they liked it or they didn't, or they liked his reaction or they didn't? So he does have that one fear if anybody wants to play off it and pick on him.
There we go. Some tidbits for the future screenings. Now, Billy, you mentioned that people are always coming, talking to you about different projects. I have to ask, I love King of Kong. It's one of my favorite documentaries of all time. Is there any other video game documentaries that might be in the on the horizon? Anything that you and Walter are working on, or is that story kind of like done and we'll just kind of like leave it to other people to tell future video game stories?
If I had to fill my hand with each opportunity that's spoken about, I would fill all my fingers. So yes, it is an ongoing discussion. Um, when you film something like this, it takes a tremendous amount of time and focus. It does. The idea that you can work on multiple things at once, um, that's not something that's really in the cards, especially when you have to maintain somewhat of a normal life. Um, so which one of those opportunities we'll choose first or next? Yes, that remains to be seen.
I will wait with bated breath. Now I know we have very limited time. I'm gonna switch to a couple of very quick, lightweight questions about topics in the movie. They're supposed to be fun. They're supposed to be relatable. You can feel free to skip them if you don't want to, but I try to keep them very answerable. Uh, Billy, this one's for you. This movie is all about like Walter's secret talent that he let out, but he hadn't ever really realized. Do you have any secret talents that maybe people don't know you for, or something that you wanted to like do for the last 20 years and it just kind of come to fruition?
Well, it makes me think about the secret talents that Walter has, as you say, in music. Um, I know how to turn the radio on. That's about it.
All right.
Um, the truth is, in the world of business and marketing, there's things I'm doing that involve my family directly. Um, outside of that, outside of travel, everything there is in the gaming world. Yeah, that's what I'm good at.
All right. Well, you know what? You know your skill. You stick to it and you hone that. There's something to be said for that also. This is for both of you. I'll start with you, Walter. This movie's about you getting up there singing. What is your go-to karaoke song? And it could depend on how many drinks you've had, right? It kind of always does.
Well, here's an interesting thing. Um, I say in the movie, this is the first time I've ever sung in front of people, but I suddenly realized that for one moment, for about a minute, in a bar one night with another person, we actually sang some lyrics from my one of my songs, but there were like two people in the bar and they were drunk, so they weren't really an audience. So
Yeah, and then they both left.
Well,
me and George Lutz did the singing. So
everyone has to start somewhere.
essentially, this was the first time I had ever sung in public. I had never sang karaoke, even once. It was just you know how you have a lot of things like Billy pointed out. I've been in front of huge crowds. I've spoken to crowds of 8 and 10,000 people, and never nervous, never anything like that. But when I got up to sing those songs, suddenly I got nervous because I was in uncharted water. This was all brand new experience. I had never sung. I didn't think of myself as having a singing voice. I'd worked for months to bring my voice up to a passing level, and it worked. It was just I think it was just barely workable.
That's, I mean,
And and
that is an awesome story, an awesome amount of work. Billy, what is your go-to karaoke song, or do you?
My go-to karaoke song, if I'm lucky on a good day, if I put everything together, might be Pac-Man Fever. That's about it.
All right. Well, on brand. On brand. I love it.
right,
Everything goes back to
Pac-Man Fever.
so you can see Walter singing his songs for the first time, and maybe in the special features later on, you can see Billy singing Pac-Man Fever. Fingers crossed. But you can at least see Walter singing in Love Arcades and Love Songs, The Ballad of Walter Day. It comes to VOD and digital on June 9th, 2025. It's also coming to theaters, so kind of keep your eyes out. Maybe you can catch a theatrical screen and see Walter and or Billy there. But definitely check it out. It's a story about overcoming heartbreak. It's a story about trying something new, no matter how old you are. And it's a story of hope as well. So I'm so excited to talk to you. I love talking to you both. Thanks so much, Billy Mitchell and Walter Day, and thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, David.
Thank you very
Awesome.
much.
Thank you so much. That was Billy Mitchell and Walter Day talking about Arcades and Love Songs, The Ballad of Walter Day. It is a heartwarming coming of age story about one person taking on, I don't know, almost insurmountable challenge at an old age, fulfilling a dream, getting over some past trauma. It has all the characters that you love from King of Kong is doing very different things. And Walter taking on a challenge that I would have never thought he would have done. It's definitely an interesting story. And if you love this area, if you just want to see people like try new things, definitely check it out. If you like this interview, please like, subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.